Welcome to the true success of the Farmers Agency and District with the AI webinar. I'm your host. My name is Vlada. I'm CEO of SUPERAGENT. It's a very special webinar because not only SUPERAGENT is purpose-built for insurance sales and provides AI solutions to help new agents ramp up and increase sales performance and scale that best practice across organizations, across districts, across agencies, but also it is very exciting because we work so much with farmers, districts, and agencies across the country. And certainly today is not about AI theory. It's not about AI theory even in insurance. It's all about practice. And I have a special panel for you guys. And we're going to talk today to our amazing panel first. I have Clark Fisher with us today, who is incredible district manager at Farmers. Clark has been one of the early users of SUPERAGENT, and certainly I've been asked numerous times for his playbook, so I'll make sure he does share it today. Then we'll talk with Chad Ritmire, who is a Farmers Agency owner, and Chad will share his experience and how he's leveraging AI, how he's thinking about role of technology and specifically SUPERAGENT to help him scale. And lastly, I'll bring on Dave, who is leading SUPERAGENT sales efforts and certainly has a broad view of what farmers agencies and farmers districts are doing, what's working, what's not. And so that's where we're going to spend the first 45 minutes of the session. We'll have 15-minute Q&A after that. Also want to say that staying till the end doesn't only get your questions answered, but it also gives you an incredible opportunity to get a special offer from SUPERAGENT only to webinar attendees. I'll not announce what it is, but I promise you it's going to be worthwhile. So you definitely want to stay till the end. So without further ado, I want to dive in and invite Clark to join me here and really talk about the district level first. But before I jump in, Clark, I would love you to introduce yourself. I'm so excited to have you here and allow folks to learn from you.
So I'm Clark. I've been with Farmers for 21 years. Started as an agency owner and have spent the last 18 as a district manager here in Cupertino, California. So where all of your iPhones and MacBooks and everything are designed. I'm really excited because the reason I got into this business is I like to sell things and I like to recruit people. And as many of you know, in California, we were in a period for a while where we couldn't do either of those things. And so coming out of that, there was a lot of optimism in our district about how we were going to scale and grow. And I think SUPERAGENT has become an integral part of that. So I'm excited to be with you today and share a little bit about our story.
Maybe a good jumping off point is just as a district manager, what were the challenges, right? What sort of prompted you to get into this exploration?
Some of it is self-inflicted and some of it is company-inflicted, right? We've all got some really big goals that we were given both from a sales and a recruiting standpoint. And we realized that the old way of doing things just wasn't getting it done fast enough and allowing us to really scale. I mean, in our district, we have 30 agency owners. 6 of them are under 2 years in tenure, and we're in the process of onboarding 5 more right now. And we also have 90 sales producers. As of yesterday, 46 of those have all been hired in the last 12 months. So we are trying our best to scale at a very rapid pace. But as you know, running a small business, especially in the insurance space, people are expensive. And when the old methods of training and developing a producer meant that I hired somebody, and if I'm lucky, they're productive in the first 5 weeks, that's 5 weeks of payroll that are basically a sunk cost. And at a place like Cupertino, which, surprise, it's not the cheapest place to do business either, that adds up really quickly when you're scaling 46 people at $25 plus an hour and you've got dead time. And so we really needed ways to get speed to sale and speed to production in front of our agency owners. Otherwise, they're not willing to play ball with us. And I think that's exactly what we've been able to deliver.
I would say in the past, right, before you've implemented Super Agent, what was your process? Where did you see the biggest sort of pain points with that? Why was it taking so long?
I think a lot of us probably have done or been through similar types of boot camps where you come in and in a week and a half or 2 weeks, somebody like me tries to thrust all of this information on you and hope that you retain 10% of it. And then during that 2 weeks, there'd be some form of role playing or consultative selling approach. Somebody's ending up in tears, whether it's the other person, it's me. I hate role playing, so it's one of my least favorite things to do in the world. But after those 2 weeks, then we tell them, hey, here are some marketing ideas, or here's how you buy internet leads, and let's write out a script for you, and let's pray that you actually memorize the script and use it on a daily basis. And we pray that you're going to actually send the text messages and the emails to follow up. And like I said, that process meant that on an average, we'd hire somebody and they weren't productive until 5 or 6 weeks down the line. With what we've implemented now, that process is cut down to 5 days. And honestly, they're selling on average by the third day that they're on the phone. So just a complete turnaround in what we're doing. And it helps those agency owners that have their wallets out ready to pay people. It makes them a lot more confident when I can say with confidence that you bring somebody on, we train them, we leverage Super Agent, and they're going to be productive a heck of a lot faster.
That's incredible, Clark. I think perhaps the next step would be then to talk about how exactly your sort of what is your new process, and I'll ask a lot of detailed questions.
Sure. So really our focus is simplifying the product training and spending a lot more time on being battle tested, as we call it. So if we bring in a new producer, we're training them for a 5-day window. And the first 3 days are really around the product basics for auto and home, the personalized products that we're most focused on in California. We go through some basic quoting training with them so that they understand the concepts. But really, day 4 and day 5 are all about leaning into Super Agent and using the training agent personalities. So they're getting the most real world opportunities to practice. It's not practicing with me or Emily, my trainer, or Daisy, my recruiter. It's them literally talking to people that are going to sound exactly like who they're going to be talking to on that following Monday when we turn on internet leads. And so we start off by teaching them a script that, of course, Super Agent understands and knows and is coaching them to follow the process with every single time. And we're putting them through over the course of day 4 and day 5, somewhere in the neighborhood of 40 to 50 different interactions. Some of those start off as just conversations. Hey, Vlada, let's get to know the script. Let's try this out. It's going to be messy the first couple of times. We know that. But now let's start adding in quoting. So as you're talking, let's start running that home quote. Let's run that auto quote. Let's see if we can sell this person. And then by that 5th day, those last 20 to 25 touches or interactions really should be as real world live fire as they're ever going to see. They're running a quote, they're explaining the coverages, they're talking to these different personalities. We have them start on the easy ones and work their way up into the harder ones. And we actually want to see that they're able to close and that they're getting the right objections overcome and they're saying the right things. And with the transcripts that we see, we have evidence and data to show us exactly where we need to dig in with individual coaching. So it's no longer, let's teach you the script, let's hope that you follow it. I know if you are or not. And it's no longer having to listen over your shoulder and kind of be the creepy guy in the background to see what you're saying. I can actually coach you on the exact pain points and how to leverage through those. So by that next Monday, when we turn on leads, there's a very high confidence level. And I can't tell you how much that really is helpful, because when a new person that just got licensed and is brand new to insurance isn't confident, they don't make sales. When they are coming in day 1 and the first 10 calls that they make are, they feel like a veteran because they've done it 50, 60 times before, that confidence is just a huge game changer for us. With the live call agent assisting them as they're making their first real calls, again, it just seems so similar. The process is exactly the same. If they forget where they are or forget how to overcome an objection, they don't have to pause and go, oh, what do I do next? Or come and find my trainer. It's there in front of them. It's literally coaching them in the moment. There's the confidence to the producer, but also the confidence to the district and to the agency owners. right? In our business, one of the sayings that we use in our district all the time is that sales and business shouldn't be a faith-based exercise. And I think a lot of times we roll out a new initiative, or we start calling internet leads, or we do something different, and there's a lot of prayer involved in that. And when we can remove that and just get down to the math of saying, okay, I know that when I hire this person, they're going to get 5 days of training, and by day 8 they should be selling things, and if not by day 9, that allows us to be a lot more calculated. And we can go back to an agency owner and say, we need you to be confident in us when we tell you to hire this producer, because we're confident in the process, we're confident in the math, we've now done it enough times to know that this works. And if it doesn't, that comes down to the person not working the system. And so that level of confidence, where we're not testing this, we're just executing, that allows us to scale. I mean, if we're literally putting on 10 new agency owners this year, we're going to hire another 30 to 40 producers over the course of the remainder of the year too. We can't do that if we're scared or skeptical. We've got to be ultra confident. And that, from a district perspective, has allowed us to really make big promises and keep them, which in our business, there's a lot of human social capital that goes into that we need to run our businesses. One of the things that I'm most excited about is using Super Agent to accomplish all of, or a lot of, the tasks that as agency owners we see as good ideas, but always get the back burner and never seem to get executed. A good example is, I've been taught from my entire career at Farmers that we should offer FFRs and we should be doing annual policy reviews, right? Everybody knows we should be calling our clients on their birthday and saying happy birthday, or trying to touch them 4 times through the year and say, thank you for being our client. We really appreciate you. No agenda, no sales pitch, just wanted to call and say thanks. All of those things are great ideas. I'd be willing to bet that nobody actually puts those into practice into real agencies, because the economics say, if I'm going to hire somebody and pay them, I need them to be productive and sell stuff, not call somebody and say happy birthday. But guess what? With Super Agent, we can build an entire retention department in our agencies where we are making those touches, and the producer's not getting tired and not going on a lunch break and not going on vacation, but actually doing this. So I know those retention touches are going out on a regular basis. I can reach out to my renewals ahead of time and say, hey, Vlada, just a heads up, your renewal is going to be coming out soon. Do you want to sit down with the agent and talk about your coverage, or talk about life changes? Those things, from a survival rate, which now impacts all of our compensation in a pretty meaningful way, that's a game changer. But even if it didn't tie to our compensation, we all want our agencies to grow, and we have to retain people to do that. The other area that I love, and I can't say love any bigger word, right, is the fact that we get compliance audits on every single call. I get a transcript that'll tell me exactly what they said. Did they offer the auto insurance? Did they offer the life insurance? And it's no longer about, tell me how did that call go. It's show me how that call went, or let me show you how the call went, and I know that you're not doing its job. I can actually inspect what I expect of the people that I'm working with. And although I'm not a complete conspiracy theorist, I like to have data like that at my fingertips, because I don't trust too many people when it comes to how fast we're scaling. And so that's another huge piece for us.
Appreciate all your feedback, and just incredible leaders that we work across Farmers that help us make SuperAgent great. And anything else you would add before we jump over to Chad to talk about his agency owner perspective?
You brought up the topic of leaning into AI. In Silicon Valley, it seems like you can't have a conversation with anybody about talking about AI. And the reality is, it's here, right? You can either be an optimist or a pessimist, but you can't be neutral. And I think in our business, optimism is rewarded. And so whether it's Super Agent or something else, this is here. And I've not found anything better than Super Agent in the marketplace to help do what we need to do and scale at a pace. And I'll just say, I cannot speak highly enough about the team at Super Agent and how adaptable they've been and how much they've evolved, even in the last 6 months. And I know that is going to continue to happen. And so I'm a big fan.
I appreciate you, Clark. Thank you so much. And of course, Clark will be here till the end. So if you guys have questions for Clark, write them down and ask any tricky questions you have during Q&A, and I'll make sure to direct them to Clark. All right.
Perfect.
Well, with that, thank you so much. With that, I wanted to transition to Chad. So great to have you, Chad, here with us. I think what impressed me working with you is how systematic your approach is, perhaps based on your background. And I'm very excited to share your perspective today as newer agency owner, right? And how you're thinking about building the agency that is future proof. So maybe just we start with your introduction, Chad, and then we'll run through some questions.
Sure. Again, my name's Chad Ritmire. I'm an agency owner in Dallas, Texas. I'm a new agency owner on the retail program, and I'm coming up on 1 year. So I think that gives everybody a pretty good perspective of exactly where my agency is.
As you think about AI, Chad, what prompted you to lean in? What prompted you to explore this for your agency?
Well, I knew AI was here and it was coming, so I was actually actively looking for it. I'd actually hired my AI through Ring Central as my phone assistant, and that wasn't actually working out very well. And came across SuperAgent and saw everything that SuperAgent is doing and their vision, and I actually couldn't get on board fast enough because I think it's the future.
Just from the things you've tried in the past, what have you seen as shortcomings? What are maybe some words of caution for other folks as they think about AI so that they can learn from it?
I think that the problem is actually quite large for insurance. A typical agency is set up with a telemarketing department, a training department, a sales department, and a service department. And AI will have a piece in every single one of those. And I think that even as a new agency owner, you have to approach it one bite at a time, so that you're not completely upsetting your agency. You're integrating things piece by piece, and then once you have confidence in the piece that you've integrated, move on to the next piece.
Definitely makes sense. And do you see the role of AI in each of these, or I guess what impressed you when you say you couldn't get on board fast enough? What was it?
Well, the personas and the concept of actually taking the elbow grease of telemarketing, where you're making outbound calls, and automating that, because that's really one of the most difficult things to follow up on, make sure your agents are doing effectively. And so I'm really excited to see these outbound calls happen where AI is generating leads and gathering information, and then passing that off really as a live lead transfer to the sales department to close the lead.
I think in our prior conversation, you talked about sort of the different options, right? And where you see AI being uniquely positioned from both the speed side of things, right? How quickly it can do it, but also cost effectively relative to some other options.
For sure, because for example, as a small agency owner, I outsource a lot of stuff. And for example, I hire overseas dialers to do my telemarketing. It's cost effective for me, but I lose speed to lead. And so that puts me at a disadvantage. And I'm really trying to increase my speed to lead. And I think that SuperAgent will be able to help with that.
So we've talked about this use case, which I think is top of mind for a lot of folks, right? About around speed to lead. I'm curious about sort of other use cases that you currently use SuperAgent for, how it's helping you already today, and also, you know, how do you prioritize it, right? Because obviously there are lots of capabilities. How would one think about what to do first and sort of how to tackle these things?
Sure. I mean, I started with the service department. I've outsourced my service work to Service Advantage, which all Farmers agents are familiar with. And if you're a smaller agency, from a scale perspective, it makes sense cost-wise. Eventually, I'm going to get large enough where it won't make sense, and I'll have to move away from Service Advantage. But with SuperAgent AI answering the phone and handling all of my service calls and passing them on to Service Advantage, I don't have to worry about service. And that's pretty cool. I see the phone calls and I monitor the phone calls, and Sarah, my SuperAgent AI receptionist, handles them perfectly.
Thank you for sharing that. When it comes to other folks who are perhaps thinking about implementing AI in their agency, and that's why they're here today, I believe. What is your, one piece of advice?
AI is moving fast, and this is an opportunity to really leverage something that could help your agency scale at a much faster rate.
I'm curious as to, that level of visibility that you have with SuperAgent now, where you can see, back to what Clark was saying, who is actually selling and how, and are they asking the right questions? How does that make you feel as an agency owner?
I love the live agent feedback, and the way that you have it set up to where, it's got all of the positives that the agent did during the call. It's got specific, actionable feedback on areas to improve. And then you put everything on this really cool scatter plot that's visual. And one of my agents was like, "This is so cool." He said, I feel like I'm playing a video game. And that's pretty neat when your agents are plugging into it and seeing it that way.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Chad. So excited to support you. And Chad will be again here till the end. If you guys have specific questions for Chad, make sure you write them down. And when we open up Q&A. With that, I wanted to turn to our third panelist, Dave, who is leading SuperAgent sales efforts. And of course, in that position has a broad view of how agencies across farmers are using SuperAgent, how are they thinking about AI, working with districts as well. So I wanted to bring on Dave and introduce himself briefly, and then we'll dive into his perspectives.
Yeah, thank you, Vlada. I'm Dave. I'm the Chief Sales Officer here at SuperAgent, and just excited to talk to you all.
Dave, just maybe to kick us off, a broad question. Obviously you work with a lot of districts and agencies. What have you seen resonate? Where are folks leaning in?
Yeah, great question. So really across my conversations, the similar problems are coming up, and it's really, I would say, tied to operational inefficiency. So whether we're having conversations about, leads coming in after hours, the follow-up not being days later, and not being able to get that lead potential customer back on a call to sell them. We've sort of run numbers with our customers, getting an understanding of what that looks like prior to SuperAgent, and it's typically about 20% of those calls lead to a sale. And so being able to utilize SuperAgent to take those calls after hours to get the quoting information really leads to more successful follow-up in those leads actually answering. On the other side too, it's just inconsistent follow-up. So there's a lot of outbound motions that I've seen that district managers want to use, but they don't have the resources to do it. Whether it's, hey, we want to implement a win-back campaign, which we want to call old customers that went to different agencies, but not being able to have the resources to do that. So with SuperAgent, they're able to do that, whether it's calling those specific leads or speed to lead that Chad mentioned. As soon as a lead comes into their management system, SuperAgent reaches out, and that just greatly increases the opportunity for success in selling if you're able to get someone on a call within 15 minutes of them reaching out. And on the district manager side, I think looking at more so of hiring and retaining, recruiting is getting harder and harder, and training is getting harder and harder. So being able to implement your training program and implement role playing through SuperAgent to get the practice in place with these new proteges gets them just and Clark mentioned it, gets them selling faster and more efficiently rather than jumping on calls before they're ready and maybe burning conversations and really hurting their sort of ego and their confidence because they're not ready for the journey.
Fantastic. Well, I wanted to ask you a question about successful agencies, right, and districts perhaps as they onboard with SuperAgent or in general technology. Obviously, you have many years of expertise in technology space itself, and those that could stumble. Sort of, what is some advice or thoughts you have about that?
Yeah, I think the main areas we can help with these operational leakages that we talked about, and specifically with farmers, is the delayed follow-up, and whether it's farmers or different agencies or just different companies in general, follow-up in a prompt time is key. And so not being able to follow up on a quote request that comes in or someone leaving a voicemail for a quote is huge. And I think Clark mentioned before too about the good ideas that aren't implemented. That's essentially what we built our tools on, is to allow you to implement those good ideas. And because farmers has been at the forefront of working with SuperAgent, a lot of our good ideas that we have implemented in our platform are from farmers. So your 60 days out renewals, for instance, again, I mentioned the win back campaign, all these good ideas that you would like to implement in your agency, but you don't have time. Our customers are able to do that. And so being able to use retention aspects of calling their customers to thank them for being the farmer's customer, or just doing those extra touch points, really help the cross-sell, upsell when that time comes to renewal, instead of having to hope that this person is not shopping us around. You have that relationship with them. And then as far as the training piece, being able, not a lot of people like role playing, so I agree with Clark on that. So being able to utilize a training platform, but also utilize SuperAgent for the role play, for the continuous training, because a lot of times with role play too, you're only doing it once or twice before you move on to a different product. So you're able within SuperAgent to completely keep role playing on the same targets until that protege is ramped up and able to hit the floor running.
Yeah, that's fantastic advice, Dave. And I'll have a perfect setup for you with the last question. For someone listening today, what is the smartest first step after this webinar?
Well, I would say the smartest first step is don't leave this webinar thinking about AI. Leave with a decision, because AI is here. It's not going anywhere. And the biggest mistake I see is those who haven't adopted it early sort of become, they fall behind, because the agencies that have adopted it are already miles ahead. So I would say work with us, stay on the line, and we're going to have breakout sessions to answer any questions to get you started. But just make the decision. Don't leave this meeting without doing something.
Thank you to all the speakers. Thank you for all of you for staying. We have Q&A open. I see a first question from Jesse. Integration into my current CRM is critical. Is SuperAgent AI able to integrate with Agency Zoom?
I'll give an example on how Agency Zoom is integrated with SuperAgent. Basically, lead comes into Agency Zoom, new quote requests. Our outbound agent will then see that request within Agency Zoom, reach out to that potential customer and set up a meeting and get as much quoting information as possible, and then also send the information back to Agency Zoom. So that's probably one of the first two workflows with the farmers agency set up.
And I think building on that, JC, we have direct integration with Agency Zoom, so we're able to align to the different pipelines. We are able to go back and forth on tasks and all the other workflows. So it has a two-way integration that is seamless, specifically with agencies. All right, I see one more. Is there another service like Nerdphone that is required for SMS and phone calls? That's an excellent question, Jesse. We are managing all the all we needed telephony things on our end now. So there is no dependency on telephony. So we are warming up numbers, getting numbers, and it's all part of the SuperAgent system along with the various templates. So when you sign up with SuperAgent, you already have opportunity to unlock not only talking heads that are trained in particular scenarios, but also email, SMS templates for that pertinent workflow. And so that what makes getting started very quick.
I live in a small town in the mountains. If a computer called a prospect here, it would be seen as offensive. So many people are used to the roboticness of AI that once they do hear our actual technology, it's so much more conversational. And it's the benefit of us being insurance only is we have hundreds of thousands of hours of insurance calls. So we're able to mimic a real life conversation that it doesn't sound robotic, it doesn't sound aggressive, and it sounds more organic. So that's what we've seen. We work with customers in small cities, and they notice the same thing where their approach is, hey, you know, there's one agency owner who still has people driving in to submit a quote or to get a quote. And he was concerned about this, but even in his agency, our tool was able to mimic how his producers sound. So,
right, we have a question for Chad. You mentioned you use overseas VAs in SuperAgent. How do you integrate the two?
That's a good question. I would also like to answer Holly's real quick. My thought was that with my service AI, I've had many customers have a complete conversation with her and not realize they were talking to an AI. Something just to take note of where SuperAgent is with their development. And then I have 5 overseas dialers that I use for telemarketing. And you know, and I want more, I want to grow. My vision is that I'm going to maintain those 5 overseas dialers. They manage their own leads. The leads will be put into my pipeline just like I've always done. And then I'm actually going to use Media Alpha as my lead service provider for SuperAgent. I'm going to provide, I haven't decided how many leads, let's say, you know, whatever, 10 or 30 leads per day to SuperAgent AI. Once we find a customer with them, the goal is to do a live lead transfer to one of my available agents from SuperAgent AI. So the overseas dialers will be by appointment, and that's speed to lead issue. And then SuperAgent AI will hopefully be basically a live lead transfer.
A question for Clark specifically, so I wanted to make sure we ask that. How do you use this software with your ABCs or for district training of new or struggling agents? I may have missed that part.
Yeah, so we use it in every training and onboarding opportunity that we have. We take the responsibility at the district of training every new producer, every new agency owner. Everybody comes through our process, and they're all taught the exact same way. And so we have a 5-day training process where we really leverage SuperAgent in day 4 and day 5 so that they're having conversations based on our scripts. They're role playing in a live environment where by the time they've done 40, 50 of these calls and tested it, they've run quotes, they've had conversations, they've overcome objections, they've made sales. By the time they get in a real world environment on that following Monday, starting to call leads, they're confident. They already have done this. This is not something new. They've not done it once or twice. They have experience and they have that confidence. And I think Dave mentioned the fragility of egos when it comes to sales. There's nothing that's worse than somebody that's getting in their own head because they've gotten beaten up and told no 8 times, 9 times, 89 times. And so when they have that experience, the confidence level shoots up. But I love the question about struggling agents, because this is something that we've really leaned into over the past, call it 6 months. We have expectations in terms of productivity of all of our producers, and we have standards based on how many leads we're buying and how many closes and how much premium they should write. And anytime that somebody is falling below that standard, the very first thing that we're doing is having them come in and they start their day with 5 new conversations with Super Agent. And then after lunch, they're doing 5 more conversations with Super Agent. And my trainer and my ABCs are looking at those, reading the transcripts, hearing the objections, seeing that positive or opportunity sentiment and what they need to be working on. And so the conversation isn't, just call more people. It's, Vlada, here's what we've noticed that other people are doing, but you're not. Or here are things that you're doing well. Here are the areas that we can pick up the pace a little bit. And usually it comes down to things like just not being as assertive as they need to in closing. And if we can open their eyes and say, okay, just ask for the deal, ask for the credit card. And that's the solution. And then it happens and they get the production back on track. Everybody's happy. The agency owner's happy, the producer's happy, I'm happy, farmers is happy. So it's kind of a great win-win-win for everybody.
I had this last question from Jesse, who is skeptical about how long it takes to implement AI. And I think that's...
I think Jesse it's a great question. And my first statement would be that the training portion is basically turnkey. So the training is all set up there using those training AIs. It's just, you're going to log in, start using it, and it's turnkey. The next thing is the way that I would handle it. My recommendation is then to work on your service side of things. Your inbound calls. I would integrate that first. Make sure that you're comfortable with your service and your inbound calls, AI handling that, and then I would move to outbound calls. My plan is to do outbound calls with internet leads first, and then once I'm comfortable with how the AI is handling those, then I'm going to move to X states. That's my vision.
Yeah, so I would say all in all, chat probably went live like everyone else within 24 to 48 hours with some initial capabilities and within 1 week for inbound. So with that, I wanted to thank you guys all. Just incredible conversation. Thank you, Clark and Chad. Really appreciate you guys, and look forward to next phase of success here. For everyone in this webinar, registrants and recording viewers, this offer is exclusively for farmers agencies. Everything in your plan comes standard, but sign up today and you unlock extra capacity based on how many of you come on board together. 5 to 9 agencies, everyone gets 1 extra month. 10 to 19, that's 2 months. 20 or more, every single one of you gets 3 months of extra capacity included. The QR codes on your screen go directly to your plan. Pro at $499 a month, Scale at $999, or Enterprise if you want us to build around you. This offer is for this webinar group only. Scan now and let's get your agency running on Super Agent.